All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast, talking Auburn football. Okay, so we got a lot to unpack here as it relates to Auburn football. We got Brian Harsin going into his second year after the perceived one-year collapse, where Auburn was in the middle of a conversation that could have talked about possible SEC contention and maybe, long shot college football playoff. Then subsequently losing a few games straight, including a bowl game to Houston and the Birmingham Bowl to end that season. What I need you guys to do, though, is go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Smash the subscribe button, of course. Also, if you want to become a member, we're going to have some incentives when the season starts. Doesn't make sense to do it right now. Not much going on right now. Also, get very active in the comment section. I think you guys are going to like this one as we talk about what the media is predicting about Auburn in general. So let's go ahead and get all of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Want to give a big shout out to true Auburn champion Scotty Boyd, Joe Toles, Catholics for Rednecks, Wesley Cooley, one of the members that I definitely appreciate, and really appreciate the support from you guys. Want to give a special shout out to the All About Auburn fan page on Facebook. That was the catalyst to this channel. As a matter of fact, I tell this story all the time. If it were not for Devin Dawson, who at the time was somehow under a subscriber named Tori, maybe somebody he was acquainted with, I don't know. But either way, he went on to say, hey, man, it's finally good that somebody on YouTube is talking about Auburn football. And that was actually the energizer for me doing this and continuing to do this, because I thought about myself when he said that. Moving to the state of Georgia, I didn't have the ongoing conversations about Auburn football that I had when I lived in Alabama. So I was like, that was really a reason for continuing to do this channel. Of course, I had the Facebook group where I was a part of. Big shout out to Lamar on 4 Sports by Sports, a part of TFG, Lamar Falk, a part of the TFG group, who allowed me to have a platform where I talked about college football. As a matter of fact, I talked about what I called at the time the Big Three. And the Big Three back in 2017, in my opinion, was Auburn, LSU, and Georgia. Of course, having the affiliation with Auburn, being an alumnus and a fan, I countered my content towards Auburn once I got on YouTube. So let's go through what the media is saying about Auburn. Well, number one, they have absolutely no respect. No respect for your coach. They say out of all the coaches, he's at the bottom tier. We're not going to waste time talking about what ranking he has, but they're even ranking coaches that haven't even coached SEC football higher than his ranking. And I have my opinion about that. But hey, that's where they rank him. Also, they claim that your Auburn Tigers will be among the bottom feeders of the Southeastern Conference this year, let alone college football. Now, let's kind of navigate through this real quick. Auburn commences the season off with a game against Mercer. Also got the second week against San Jose State. Here's the issue perception-wise with that, especially when we talk about past history. Auburn is never a guarantee to navigate through these games unscathed, because you think about Mercer a few years ago, in 2017, oddly enough, when Auburn beat two number twos in three in a span of 3 weeks. Auburn had a contest against Mercer at home where Mercer was pushing the envelope to where this could have been a complete disaster, kind of like the Georgia State game from last year. Then you have San Jose State coming into town where Auburn, I can't think of the year right offhand. I think it was 2001, maybe 16. It's either 16 or 15, where there was some struggle going on in those games. So folks are looking at this schedule and looking at it from a historical perspective and like, you know what? These two games are not necessarily, from a guarantee standpoint, wins, but they perceive a little struggle there. So they're not really confident that Auburn can all the way pull this stuff off. Man, that sucks. I'm going to tell you what Auburn is good at. If Auburn is not good at anything else, Georgia's good at stuff, Alabama's good at stuff, LSU's good at stuff. Other teams in the SEC are good at a lot of things. But I'm going to tell you, if nothing else, Auburn is excellent at lack of predictability. So much so, have you ever wondered, why is it? Auburn could be among like maybe 19 in the 20th ranked teams in the country. And guess who throws Auburn into the time slot on ESPN? ESPN. You know why? Because Auburn has the flair of the dramatics. Auburn has a situation to where they always have the dramatic outcomes. And guess what? If you think about it, that's why Auburn had the best rating against Penn State that they've ever had. Well, that Penn State, that ABC has had, ESPN has had in a long time in those situations. I think that's a huge deal for the Tigers when we think about that. So that's why they have the flair of dramatics. Those stations really like that. Okay, so that's why you always have Auburn on those time slots. Okay, so what is the media saying out there? The media is saying that Auburn will go, if you look at the consensus, they'll be the bottom tier of the SEC and they will win 5.5 games. How you win 5.5 games, I do know, but the typical fan doesn't know. They do this little matrix to where they calculate this stuff and they go from there. Do I think Auburn will go 5-5? Absolutely not. I think Auburn has a really good roster. The only thing that will be calculated in after the 6 games that I covered before, you're just going to be looking at depth and injuries as a possible situation to where you have to gauge this team. All right, so let me know what you think about this video. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle.